What is slavery? Slavery involves denying the personality to a human being, that is, denying the possibility to a human being is subject to legal relationships. The slave has, in principle, no rights and obligations. We would say that subjecting a human being to slavery is to reduce that slave human being to a category of nothing. With the master is to reduce to the object of legal relations, instead of being subject to them. Slavery is a type of labor relationship that existed long ago in human history. Already in antiquity, the Hammurabi Code, a set of written laws by Babylonian civilization, contained elements of debate about the relationship between slaves and their masters. Not limited to the Babylonians, slavery was also used among the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Jews, the Greeks and the Romans. Therefore, we can see that this is a historical phenomenon wide and diverse, as well as ancient. In ancient times, all masters wanted to be the one who had access to the most exclusive professional services. Slavery warranted, at least in theory, because the slave could always die or escape, that the slave would work for the master, and not for other people. The slaves were those who knew how to develop the different specialized tasks, kept in secrets of the economic exploitation of their masters. The worker has the possibility to find another person to work for. In this way, slavery was a mechanism so that the secrets of the economic activity of the master did not transcend. In ancient Mesopotamia, India and China, slaves were used in homes, trade, construction and agriculture. Even among the Aztecs, practitioners of various trades bought the slaves to offer them as a sacrifice to their patron god. Some thought slavery was the logical destination of prisoners of war. In ancient Greece, slaves were treated with consideration. More recently, it is estimated that in the United States there were 1,300,000 black slaves in the middle of the second decade of the 19th century. Slaves enjoyed no civil rights in the nation that had pioneered their recognition and assurance. They could be traded or sold as a commodity. They could not take any legal action on contracts, marriage, or ownership. The personal situation varied according to the character and treatment of its owners. The slave trade had been abolished at the beginning of the 19th century, but, in a clandestine way, human trafficking continued. The business was impressive. The steady increase in demand made the value of the slaves multiply. It is estimated that by 1860, a slave could be worth about $2,000. The panorama of slavery in Mexico began from the creation of La Nueva España. In fact, Christopher Columbus' first commercial activity in the New World consisted of sending 4 caravels to Europe with 550 indigenous slaves, each to auction them off in the Mediterranean markets. The Spaniards believed with the right to own the towns as one more of their belongings. Faced with this situation, Friars Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla decided to publish on December 6, 1810, a sign that would abolish slavery. Although slavery was prohibited in Mexico, the official decree that abolished it was declared until September 15, 1829, during the government of President José María de Bocanegra. In 1948, slavery ended. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948, expressly prohibits slavery and the slave trade in all its forms. For Marx, however, slavery was a fundamental piece that led us to the capitalist system with which we now live, and for other authors, slavery has not ended, but has been hidden within the capitalist system, has become a racialized slavery. As for how racialized slavery occurred, Marx pointed out that the transformation of Africa in a rabbit hutch for the commercial hunting of black-skinned people was the fundamental point that marked the happy dawn of capitalist production. Marx recognized that slavery existed among all the nations since the beginning of the world, but this enslavement that paved the way for the emergence of Western capitalism had a unique and aberrant quality that differentiated it from other slave systems in other societies of the past. So the slavery system is over, or do we continue to live it very rationally? Although almost all countries have declared it illegal, it continues to exist, and in Asia, it is almost 35% of the victims. At present, there is slavery in the form of forced labor of adults and children in mining, agriculture, or domestic tasks, among others. Modern slavery is often linked to sexual exploitation. It is estimated that at any given time in 2016, 40.3 million people have been subjected to modern slavery. This figure includes 24.9 million in forced labor and 15.4 million in forced marriage. This means that in the world there are 5.4 victims of modern slavery per 1,000 people. 1 in 4 victims of modern slavery are children. Of the 24.9 million people trapped in forced labor, 16 million are exploited in the private sector, for example, in domestic work, the construction industry or agriculture. 4.8 million people are victims of forced sexual exploitation, and 4 million people are forced in labor situation imposed by the state. Forced labor disproportionately affects women and girls, who account for 90% of the victims in the commercial sex industry and 58% in other sectors. Myth: slavery is a thing of the past. Reality: slavery remains enforced today, only that is salaried. Slavery has ancient roots in history but still exists in many different ways. Trafficking in human beings, debt bondage, and forced domestic labor are just a few examples. Myth: few people are in conditions of slavery. Fact: today, there are more people in situations of slavery than at any other time in history. More than 25 million women, men, and children live in conditions of slavery. That is, 3 out of every 1,000 people in the world. If they all live in the same city, it would be the 4th largest city in the world after Beijing. Myth: the exploitation for sexual purposes represents the most of the cases of modern slavery. Fact: most people who are victims of slavery work in industries such as agriculture, fishing, construction, manufacturing, mining, services, and domestic work. About 1 in 5 are victims of sexual exploitation. Myth: modern slavery does not produce great earnings. Fact: modern slavery is a big business. A recent ILO study estimates that modern slavery generates annual profits of more than $150 billion, which is equal to the sum of the profits of the 4 most profitable companies in the world. Why are people still enslaving? Because reducing a person to the quality of an exchange object is assigned a role of merchandise, and there is a market that demands it, which translates into monetary benefit for the trader, who also, without great investment, makes considerable profits, says Carmen Gabriela Ruiz Serrano, an expert at the National School of Social Work of the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de México. And last, what can we do to help these people?